Storm Track 7, certified most accurate for the third year in a row. Live from News 7 KWWL, we've got you covered. This is Today in Iowa.
And I'm very happy to be standing here in front of you to announce the capture of Michael Burham a short time ago here in Warren County.
Now on Today in Iowa, a Pennsylvania fugitive is back in custody after 10 days on the run. How two Waterloo police officers helped put the prison escapee back behind bars. Plus, remembering Lyric and Elizabeth, a community gathering to keep their memories alive 11 years after their murders. Then, Decision 2024, it's a busy weekend on the campaign trail for the presidential candidates. What Florida Governor Ron DeSantis told potential voters in Iowa. Good morning and welcome to Today in Iowa. Happy Sunday. We've got a lot to cover this morning, but first, this is a Storm Track 7 alert day. Let's take a live look outside over Hawkeye Community College. You can see right there why it is, that thick smoke still hanging over the viewing area this weekend. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'm Emily Moss, and let's go ahead and check in with Storm Track 7 meteorologist AJ Rickman for a quick look at our forecast. When is that air quality going to let up here?
Well, not for today. We might have a little bit of clearing for tonight into tomorrow, but for today, we're going to be dealing with that poor air quality, that haze and that smoke like we had yesterday afternoon. Taking a look outside right now over Decorah, you can see that sun starting to come up, and you've got those really pretty reds and those oranges. The silver lining to all of this is we'll have beautiful sunrises and sunsets for today and tonight. But we are going to be dealing with that poor air quality. Temperatures right now across the area aren't too bad. We're in the upper 50s into the low to mid 60s in some of our southern areas. Dew points are a little bit humid in some spots, but really they're not terrible. If it weren't for this poor air quality, it'd really be shaping up to be a pretty nice day out there. But we are under a Storm Track 7 yellow alert day. That's for reduced air quality from that haze and that Canadian wildfire smoke. It's going to be through noon on Monday when a cold front pushes a lot of this smoke out of our area. And it's going to be for all of our viewing area. Right now, air quality across our area is in the unhealthy category. So even if you're not ordinarily sensitive to the air quality, you might feel a little bit of a scratchy throat. You're definitely going to smell the smoke out there. And I'll talk a little more coming up about when we might get some relief from this.
Thanks, AJ. New this morning, a Pennsylvania fugitive has now been taken into custody with the help of some Eastern Iowa officers. Michael Burham escaped from the Warren County Jail on July 6th. He's suspected of homicide, kidnapping, and other crimes. Authorities say they were tipped off to his location after residents heard their dogs barking and went to go check it out. That's when they encountered a man who said he was camping. They recognized him and left to call officials, but he fled to the woods. He was captured about 2 hours later.
It's in the area, one of the portions of the area that we have been pushing hard. And as I said to you, that's been our strategy all along, is to push him hard, to have him make a mistake. He finally did.
Police are processing Burham, who will be arraigned on the escape charge. Authorities say he will not be returned to the Warren County Prison. Two Waterloo police officers were part of the federal task force that helped capture Burham. Waterloo police officers Gavin Kramer and Keaton Northrup are both part of the department's violent crime apprehension team. They're deputized as U.S. Marshals. Part of those duties, they help with manhunts like the one for Burham. Over 15 agencies and 200 officers across the country were involved in the manhunt. We have more on the capture right now on KWWL.com. And we're now getting the images of 3 officers shot in Fargo, North Dakota this weekend. 23-year-old Jake Willen was killed. He joined the department just 3 months ago. 2 other officers are in critical condition. In a press conference, the police chief says the shooting began after a car crash and more than 40 shots were fired.
This is it's an unconscionable act. It's hard to fathom. It's unbelievable that something like this would happen in our community. Many of us think a lot of stuff can't happen, and this happened.
The chief says right now they don't know the motive. The shooting suspect was killed on scene. The Cedar Rapids Police Department posting about the shooting last night, saying their hearts are with the Fargo Police Department as they mourn.
When I think of the girls, I just think of the times that they were together. They were so close. They did everything together. They were like sisters.
It's now been just over 11 years since Evansdale cousins Elizabeth Collins and Lyric Cook Morrissey went missing at Myers Lake. Their bodies were found nearly 5 months later. Today, the case is still unsolved. Yesterday, friends, family, and the Evansdale community got together for the annual memorial ride and drive in honor of Lyric and Elizabeth. KWWL's Lily Cedardahl tells us more about the ongoing efforts to keep their memories alive, find out what happened to them, as well as pay tribute to other victims of violent crimes.
Elizabeth Collins and Lyric Cook Morrissey were best friends. According to family members, they did everything together. In fact, the pair was last seen riding their bikes with one another. Family members say they are just as confused and frustrated as they were 11 years ago.
As time goes by, the frustration grows, just the questions that just go through your mind. What happened? Who took them? When you see somebody out in the street, you wonder, could that be the person? It's hard. It gets harder, if anything.
More than a decade later, the pain isn't any easier for the families of Lyric and Elizabeth. However, Elizabeth's father, Drew, says they are not the only ones going through this lingering pain.
We had so much local support. We just want to give that support back as best we can to some of these other families that are going through the same thing that we've gone through.
So the girls' families got together to host a memorial ride and drive to both honor violent crime victims as well as bring awareness to unsolved cold cases. The girls' aunt, Kelly Davis, says this is a tradition that the community has backed for quite some time.
All these people here in support of Elizabeth and Lyric, it kind of doesn't ease the pain, but it just kind of softens it a little bit.
Dominique and Jared Dew have been participating in the annual ride and drive for more than 6 years. The couple says the number of riders continues to increase each year. They ride alongside hundreds of others to support the two Evansdale girls.
I am all about kids and protecting kids, and this involves two little girls that we could not protect, and so mine is come and support it and make a beautiful park for the girls, but it's also donating to Crime Stoppers and finding the person that did this.
We ride rain or shine. If it rains, we're still riding. It's not just for us to go out and ride, it's for a good cause.
Although there have been no arrests after 11 years, the girls' families say they will never stop seeking justice.
I want to find out who did this. I want them to pay for what they did, and I don't want them to be able to do it to another family.
People want to know what happened and they want justice. You know, people are not going to let this go. We are never going to give up, ever.
Now all funds raised from the Memorial Ride and Drive will go towards Angels Park, the Elizabeth Collins Foundation, and Cedar Valley Crime Stoppers. Reporting in Evansdale, Lily Cedardahl, News 7 KWWL.
Thanks, Lily. There's currently a $100,000 reward being offered to anyone that brings forward information that helps solve this case. If you or anyone you know has information linked to the girls' disappearance and murders, please contact authorities. You can learn more about this year's ride as well as the unsolved disappearance and murders of the girls right now on KWWL.com or by downloading our free News 7 app. You can also watch last week's episode of The Steele Report right now on the website or app, where Ron Steele speaks one-on-one with Drew Collins about the impact this has had on his family. Into our Decision 2024 coverage now. In a little less than 6 months, Iowa Republicans will be casting their votes in the First in the Nation caucus. And one of the front runners to take the nomination says he's considering an Iowa leader as his running mate. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says he would consider picking Governor Kim Reynolds as his vice president if he wins the nomination. While Governor Reynolds has remained popular among Iowa conservatives, she has pledged to remain neutral during the primary season. She's already appeared at several events with Governor DeSantis, South Carolina Senator Tim Scott, and former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley. Earlier this week, former President Donald Trump attacked the governor for not endorsing him after he says he helped her win the governor's office in 2019. Yesterday, Governor DeSantis pushed back, saying anyone discrediting her is, quote, way off base. And during his stop in Winterset, DeSantis discussed Friday's Family Leadership Summit in Des Moines. DeSantis addressed topics he said weren't touched on during the summit, including religious liberty.
What the political left wants to do is they want to impose effectively their ideology as their religion on the rest of the country. They're trying to establish leftism as the orthodoxy. So like you as a Christian, yeah, you can practice your faith, but only up until the point it conflicts with their agenda. then you've got to bend the knee. That's the direction they want to go. That's not religious freedom.
Former President Donald Trump remains the GOP front runner in the 2024 race for the White House. He spent the day in Florida, where he spoke at the Turning Point Action Convention in West Palm Beach. There, he spoke on his plans to revamp the nation's education system.
I want to close the Department of Education and move education back to the states where it belongs and where parents have total control of their children's lives.
Vivek Ramaswamy also headlined the Turning Point Convention. The political newcomer and former pharmaceutical executive addressed the thousands of students and young Americans attending the event.
When the things that used to fill our void, faith, patriotism, hard work, family, these things have disappeared. And that leaves a black hole in its wake. What happens when you have a black hole that runs that deep? The poison begins to fill the void. Wokeism, transgenderism, climatism, COVIDism.
Former New Jersey governor and Republican presidential candidate Chris Christie has released his fundraising numbers for the second quarter. Christie joined the race for president last month, and in the 25 days since, Christie has raised more than $1.5 million. It trails many of his rivals, but it is ahead of former Vice President Mike Pence, who only raised about $1.1 million during the second quarter. President Joe Biden is beating his rivals in fundraising for the 2024 election. His campaign says he raised $72 million in the first quarter since launching his re-election bid. That's for his own candidacy and the Democratic Party in general. By comparison, former President Donald Trump's campaign says he's bringing in more than $35 million in his second quarter. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' campaign says he raised $20 million in just over 6 weeks on the campaign trail. Coming up still today in Iowa, feeling lucky, a look at last night's Powerball drawing, and if anyone has won the massive $860 million jackpot. And a northeast Iowa city is celebrating its heritage this weekend.
Closed captioning on KWWL is brought to you by Veridian Credit Union.
Well, we all weren't feeling very lucky last night. Once again, no one had the winning Powerball ticket. The winning numbers drawn were 57, 43, 2, 55, 9. The Powerball was 18. There were no jackpot winners, but 2 tickets sold matched 5 of the 6 numbers. Lottery officials say those tickets are worth $1 million each. They were sold in Colorado and Texas. The Powerball jackpot has now increased to an estimated $900 million for the next drawing. Tomorrow night, you can watch the drawing right here on KWWL during the news at 10. An elderly woman is safe this morning after escaping from her burning home. Fire crews arrived on scene along Burger Lane in Fairfax around 5:30 last night. They found the home on fire. They were able to get 85-year-old Janice Moss out. Crews put the fire out fast, but the home is a total loss. It's believed to have started from the stove in the kitchen. After almost 2 months of construction, a new skate park in Cedar Rapids is almost ready to open. Riverside Skate Park will open August 1st to the public. There's a grand opening skate contest August 26th. The redesigned park also includes a new playground. Happening this weekend, a slice of summer is in the air in Bremer County. The community of Waverly coming together for the city's Heritage Days. The festival has been around since 1987. It helps promote its heritage, talents, and citizens. This year, there is live music, food, and fun activities for the whole family, like cornhole tournaments. Darwin Ritkers is the co-chair of the festival. He says it's a great time for both new and old friends to reconnect every year.
So Heritage Days is that one time a year where our town comes together and we get to see family and friends that we don't get to see every day, day in and out. It's just kind of a nice way to just reconnect as a community.
Heritage Days concludes today with a pancake breakfast at the Waverly Municipal Airport. There's also a disc golf workshop, historical house tours, and 2 concerts at Coleman Park. In downtown Waterloo, a fiesta marked a celebration of Latin cultures. The River Loop Amphitheater featured family-friendly dances and activities to celebrate Latino culture and diversity in the city and throughout the Cedar Valley. Planning members say it was a great night to showcase the different walks of life that live here and give others a chance to experience it for themselves.
It gives us an opportunity to showcase a style of music that is not always on display. nos da la oportunidad de que mostremos nuestra cultura, de que mostremos nuestra diversidad, de que mostremos todo lo que nosotros somos y que compartamos todo lo que podemos dar a la comunidad.
Guests were also provided some Latino traditional foods, a fashion show, and a piñata for the kids. We are seeing more record-breaking heat across parts of the United States. The Southwest is experiencing an unrelenting spell of hot temperatures. The heat is expected to intensify this week. One place that is especially hot, Death Valley National Park in California. Forecasters predict the region might top 130 degrees. That would tie or break the record for the hottest temperature ever recorded on the planet. Park rangers urge people venturing outside in the heat to make sure loved ones know where you are at all times.
This time of year, especially when it's this hot, it's great to have someone back at home who's not on the journey with you, who knows where you're going, when you should be at certain places, and when you should be checking in with them, so that if you don't check in, they know to let someone know that you haven't checked in and where you should have been going.
Park rangers say even the most adventuresome only travel a short distance in the heat. Here in Iowa, it's a Storm Track 7 alert day, turning our attention now to our eastern Iowa weather. Taking a live look outside over Waverly, the city's Heritage Day celebration coming to an end today, but it's going to be a little smoky out there for you. Let's check back in with Storm Track 7 meteorologist A.G. Rickman with your forecast.
Right, and we are under a yellow alert day today. That's going to be for a lot of smoke and haze that's in the air, and really right now to kick the day off, it's out there right now over Dubuque by the Hotel Julian. You can see that it looks just really smoky and hazy. There's not many clouds, but it might not look like it at a first glance because the smoke is keeping the air kind of that milky white color. If you step outside, you'll probably smell some of that smoke in the air too, and air quality across the area right now is really just in the unhealthy, not great range. If it weren't for the air quality, it'd be shaping up to be a pretty nice day. 60 degrees, dew points aren't terrible, and winds are light out of the northwest, but with that air quality, it's creating quite a few issues for us. We're under a yellow alert day for today. That's for that reduced air quality, and we're going to be under this alert until noon tomorrow when a front pushes through and gets rid of a lot of that smoke and that poor air quality for us. And that's going to be really all across our area and really all across the Midwest. They're dealing with those poor air quality issues. We're under an air quality alert through noon tomorrow, and that's for every single county in our viewing area. So to time everything out for you for how this is going to go, that near surface smoke, it's in our area now. You can go outside, you can see it, smell it, almost taste it. And it's going to be sticking around through the day today, through the afternoon, and into the night tonight. Where we start to get some relief is as we go through the night tonight, we're going to have a cold front that pushes in from the north. It's going to push from north to south across our area, and it's going to kind of push a lot of that smoke off to our south and kind of clear us out as we go through the night into the early morning hours of tomorrow. And by the time we get to noon on Monday, a lot of that low surface, near surface smoke should be out of our area, and air quality should improve. And really Monday afternoon should be a pretty good day. When that front comes through, the other thing it's going to kick up that we're going to want to watch for is some scattered showers and storms that might develop through this afternoon. Looks like our southern counties are going to have the best chance of getting in on that scattered shower and storm action. And some of those storms could be a little on the strong side. They could have some gusty winds, could have some hail. So just something to keep an eye on as you go through the day. Not expecting a severe weather outbreak or anything like that. But then those storms will stick around through the early evening hours. They should clear out before midnight. And then after midnight, clouds will decrease and we'll clear out and have a pretty sunny start to our day on Monday. So for today, we're under that alert day. We're going to have a lot of hazy skies, a lot of that near surface smoke. So if you go outside, you'll be able to smell it. You'll be able to see it. That sky's going to have that milky white appearance as opposed to that blue sky, that blue color you'd have on a nice clear day. And we're going to have those storms that might pop up this afternoon. Could have some of those storms be a little on the strong side, some gusty winds, some hail. Highs across the area will be anywhere from the upper 70s in the northern counties down into the southern counties where we'll be in the mid to the upper 80s. And really, like I said, if it weren't for the haze, it really wouldn't be a terrible day. But that air quality is going to create a lot of issues for us. That air quality is going to stick around. Air quality issues, sorry, are going to stick around through the night tonight. We'll have those showers and storms in the early evening hours, and then when that front pushes through, that'll clear everything out. Our air quality will start to improve as we go through the day tomorrow, and we'll have a steadily improving day as we go into the afternoon. Tomorrow afternoon should be great. Mostly sunny. Air quality is going to be pretty good. And for your city-by-city forecast, Waterloo, Dubuque, Iowa City, and Cedar Rapids, once that front pushes through and gives us a really nice day on Monday, we're going to see a pretty fast return of some moisture as we get into Tuesday. Tuesday will be our next shot of rain, and then once we get past Tuesday, we're going to dry out for the foreseeable future, and temperatures will be about where we should be for this time of year.
Thanks, AJ. Still on the way. A 4-year stalemate is over. United pilots reaching a new labor deal with the airline. New this morning, pilots with United Airlines have reached a tentative agreement with the airline on a new 4-year contract. The new deal will give pilots a substantial pay raise up to 40%. The Airline Pilots Association says the agreement also includes better retirement benefits, job security, and addresses quality of life issues. The union says the agreement ends a stalemate that has lasted for 4 years. Its 16,000 members still must approve the deal. Meanwhile, Hollywood has come to a screeching halt. Thousands of actors in New York and Los Angeles joined the picket line for day 1 of the SAG-AFTRA strike. This comes after negotiations with the studios fell apart, prompting the first strike in nearly 40 years for actors. Hundreds descending on Paramount Studios, one of 8 where members were striking on Friday. They're joining the Writers Guild of America members who've been on strike since early May, in a historical moment that hasn't happened since the 1960s.
They don't allow us to change the contract to reflect on the new business model. What are we talking about? We're moving around furniture on the Titanic. We're all going to be put out of business.
They're fighting for a fair contract with the union representing studios. It includes higher compensation for residuals on streaming platforms and shows that perform well with viewers, as well as the issue of artificial intelligence and studios that could use it to cut costs. Coming up still on Today in Iowa, the race for the White House is heating up. A look at where the candidates spent time campaigning this weekend and the money that they've raised. And firefighters are busy fighting 3 separate wildfires in the same California county. Let's go ahead and take a live look outside over the Mississippi River at Cassville, Wisconsin this morning. We'll be right back with another half hour Today in Iowa. You're watching News 7 KWWL. We've got you covered.
Live from News 7 KWWL, we've got you covered. This is Today in Iowa.
Now on Today in Iowa, a Pennsylvania fugitive is in custody. How 2 Waterloo police officers helped with his capture. Plus, 3 police officers are shot in North Dakota. The message Cedar Rapids police are sending to their fellow officers. Then, a possible game changer, how pilot training could help Ukraine in the war with Russia. We have lots going on today, but first it is a Storm Track 7 alert day. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'm Emily Moss. We want to get to that weather right away. This is a live look outside over Burlington Street in Iowa City from the Iowa Flood Center at the University of Iowa. The smoke still lingering over our skies this morning. Let's check in with Storm Track 7 meteorologist AJ Rickman for a quick look at our forecast and what's ahead.
Right, so we're under a yellow alert day for today. We're going to be dealing with those hazy skies, that really poor air quality. Right now, taking a look outside over Cassville, Wisconsin at the Mississippi River. You can see where it really ordinarily would be a blue sunny sky, but with that smoke in the air, it's got kind of that milky appearance to it off on the horizon. You can see where it's hard to see the horizon off on the right side of the screen. It kind of just fades off into smoke. And that's because right now our air quality is really just not great across the area. At the surface, we've got that smoke that's creating a lot of air quality problems and some visibility concerns as well. And we're going to be dealing with that for today. We're going to have that yellow alert day for reduced air quality. It's going to be in effect through noon tomorrow over all of our viewing area. Really, if it weren't for the air quality, wouldn't be a terrible day. Temperatures right now are in the 50s and 60s. Dew points aren't terrible either. But we'll be dealing with that air quality, and I'll talk more about that coming up in your full forecast.
Thanks, AJ. A Pennsylvania fugitive is now in custody with the help of some eastern Iowa officers. Michael Burham escaped from the Warren County Jail on July 6th. He's suspected of homicide, kidnapping, and other crimes. Authorities say they were tipped off to his location after residents heard their dog barking and went to check it out. That's when they encountered a man who said he was camping. They recognized him and left to call officials, but Burham fled into the woods. He was captured about 2 hours later.
Looks tired and worn out, as we thought that he might. He was still wearing his prison pants turned inside out. He was dirty, wet.
Police are now processing Burham, who will be arraigned on an escape charge. Authorities say he will not be returned to the Warren County Prison. 2 Waterloo police officers were part of the federal task force that helped capture the man. Waterloo police officers Gavin Kramer and Keaton Northrup are both part of the department's violent crime apprehension team. They're deputized as U.S. Marshals, and part of those duties, they help with manhunts, like the one for Burham. Over 15 agencies and 200 officers across the country were involved in the manhunt. We have more on the capture right now on KWWL.com. We're now getting the images of 3 officers shot in Fargo, North Dakota this weekend. 23-year-old Jake Willen was killed. He joined the department only 3 months ago. 2 other officers are in critical condition, but they are stable. In a press conference, the police chief says the shooting began after a car crash and more than 40 shots were fired.
This is it's an unconscionable act. It's hard to fathom. It's unbelievable that something like this would happen in our community. Many of us think a lot of stuff can't happen, and this happened.
The chief says right now they don't know the motive. The shooting suspect was killed on scene. This was the scene Friday night in Fargo. Officers holding a procession through the town after hearing of the officer shot. Their squad lights were staying on to mourn their brothers in blue. The Cedar Rapids Police Department posting about the shooting last night, saying that their hearts are with the Fargo Police Department as they mourn. In a little less than 6 months, Iowa Republicans will be casting their votes in the First in the Nation caucus. And one of the frontrunners to take the nomination says he's considering an Iowa leader as his running mate. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says he would consider picking Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds as his vice president if he wins the nomination. Governor Reynolds has remained popular among Iowa conservatives. She's pledged to remain neutral during the primary season. She's already appeared at several events with Governor DeSantis, South Carolina Senator Tim Scott, and former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley. Earlier this week, former President Donald Trump attacked the governor for not endorsing him. He says he helped her win the governor's office in 2019. Yesterday, Governor DeSantis pushed back, saying anyone discrediting her is, quote, way off base. During his stop in Winterset, DeSantis discussed Friday's Family Leadership Summit in Des Moines. DeSantis addressed topics he said weren't touched on during the summit, including parental rights within education.
You know, adult material is for adults. It's not for a 5th grade classroom. If you want that adult material, there's times and a place. Heck, you can look at Hunter Biden's laptop for all I care. You probably get a lot of adult material there.
A new report says contributions are slowing down for Ron DeSantis. He posted a strong $20 million in the second quarter, but it quickly fell off in the weeks after he announced his White House bid. Filings say about 15% of individual donations came in on amounts of $200 or less. Meanwhile, the DeSantis campaign confirmed yesterday that it had recently let some staffers go. FEC filings show about 90 people were on his campaign payroll in the second quarter. Former New Jersey Governor and Republican presidential candidate Chris Christie has released his fundraising numbers for the second quarter. Christie joined the race for president last month. In the 25 days since declaring his candidacy, Christie has raised $1.6 million. It trails many of his rivals, but is ahead of former Vice President Mike Pence, who raised about $1.1 million during the second quarter. Christie says more than 40,000 donors have contributed to his campaign, which makes him eligible to participate in the first GOP presidential debate next month. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden is pulling ahead of his rivals in fundraising for the election. His campaign says he raised $72 million in the first quarter since launching his re-election bid. That's for his own candidacy and the Democratic Party in general. By comparison, former President Donald Trump's campaign says he brought in more than $35 million in his second quarter. Former President Trump is the current GOP frontrunner in the 2024 race for the White House. He spent the day in Florida, where he spoke at the Turning Point Action Convention in West Palm Beach. There, he spoke on his plans to revamp the nation's education system.
I want to close the Department of Education and move education back to the states where it belongs and where parents have total control of their children's lives.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken will urge the Senate to quickly approve dozens of State Department nominees that Republican senators are blocking from confirmation. Blinken plans to speak with reporters about the issue tomorrow. He also plans to send a letter to the Senate asking members to move forward with the nominations. The State Department currently has 61 nominees waiting for confirmation. Republican Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky is one of the senators putting a hold on all nominations. He's demanding that the department turn over information on the origins of COVID-19. Iowa Attorney General Brenna Bird and a dozen other attorneys generals are warning the nation's largest companies about using race-based policies. After the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that colleges can admit students based on race, they sent a letter to Fortune 100 companies. Many have diversity and equity programs. Here in Iowa, that includes Wells Fargo and John Deere. The attorneys general asked the companies to comply with race-neutral principles in their employment and hiring practices. European countries will soon begin training Ukrainian pilots on the F-16 fighter jets. It could be a game changer in the war against Russia, but how challenging are they to fly? Josh Lederman now has an inside look.
They've been top of Ukraine's wish list for the entire war.
There goes one.
Powerful American-made F-16s that could give Ukraine an edge in the skies. Now that the West is finally willing to give them, Ukrainians will need to learn how to fly them. Ukraine's pilots will travel hundreds of miles or more to sites throughout Europe to learn how to fly F-16s, including here in the UK. Inside this unassuming building in northern England is an F-16 simulator. Ukrainians will train on simulators like these before flying the real thing.
Hey, I'm Josh. I'm Jason. Good to meet you. So this is your flight suit. Great.
First, Ukrainians will have to learn the aircraft. Compared to Ukraine's MiG-29 jets, F-16s are smaller, with just one engine instead of two, and all electronic controls instead of hydraulics. Takeoff is fairly easy. You can see me raise the jet's nose until we're airborne.
So if I crash this thing, do I get another life, like a video game? Of course. Good deal.
No, but you can really see pretty much 180 degrees around you, everything that's happening.
All right, ready? Yep. 1, 2, 3.
I try rolling the aircraft to the left.
Let's roll. Oh my God. Wow. Okay, wait, now I'm not going the right way. It moves so smoothly, you almost forget that, you're controlling this massive airplane.
Ukrainians will have to master more than a dozen buttons on the F-16's joystick, key for switching instantly from bombing targets to air-to-air combat.
So this is what an aircraft might see in a dogfight, where it's going straight after another aircraft. That's it.
That's the enemy aircraft coming up on the left. I fire and miss.
So we've still got 5 missiles left. 5 missiles left. Use them carefully. That's it.
And when it's time to land the plane...
And I've just crashed. Yeah, I just crashed our airplane into the ground. Well, it was a good ride while it lasted.
Training on the F-16s is set to begin next month. Retired Royal Air Force Commander Greg Bagwell believes they could be a game changer.
The real difference is the way we will teach them to fight it. It's a bit like playing the flute and the piccolo simultaneously and using your hands to really make the aeroplane do what you want it to do.
That's a big learning curve.
It is a big learning curve.
A lot to learn with Ukraine's future at stake.
Sud Clover, delete altitude restriction.
Josh Lederman, NBC News, Castleford, England.
Coming up still on Today in Iowa, the Powerball jackpot continues to climb. A look at the estimated prize for tomorrow's drawing. And we'll take you to a football camp in Cedar Falls featuring former local high school players now in the NFL.
And as you walk out the door this morning, it's kind of hazy out there. Temperatures are going to be okay for today. We're going to be in the mid to upper 80s, but you're going to be dealing with those hazy skies, some scattered storms this afternoon. I'll talk about the timing on that coming up.
The Ducks are coming to the Cedar Valley Saturday, July 29th. It's the Great Rubber Duck Splash, benefiting North Star Community Services. 5,000 rubber ducks will be launched into the lazy river at the Falls Aquatic Center. And if yours finishes in the top 3, you could win $250, $500, or $1,000. Adopt a duck now at duckrace.com/Waterloo. Also sign up for the new Duck Dash 5K Walk Run and Kids Fun Run. The Great Rubber Duck Splash, Saturday, July 29th. KWWL cares.
Another drawing, another no winner. We all weren't feeling very lucky last night because once again, no one had the winning Powerball ticket. The winning numbers drawn were 57, 43, 2, 55, 9, and the Powerball was 18. While there were no jackpot winners, 2 tickets sold matched 5 of the 6 numbers. Lottery officials say those tickets, worth $1 million each, were sold in Colorado and Texas. The Powerball jackpot has now increased to an estimated $900 million for the next drawing tomorrow night. You can watch that drawing right here on KWWL during the news at 10. Happening this weekend, a slice of summer is in the air in Bremer County. The community of Waverly is coming together for the city's Heritage Days. The festival has been around since 1987. It helps promote heritage talents and citizens. This year, there's live music, food, and fun activities for the whole family to enjoy.
So Heritage Days is that one time a year where our town comes together and we get to see family and friends that we don't get to see every day, day in and out. It's just kind of a nice way to just reconnect as a community.
Heritage Days concludes today with a pancake breakfast at the Waverly Municipal Airport. There's also a disc golf workshop, historical house tours, and 2 concerts at Coleman Park. The Cedar Falls Tigers are just a couple of weeks away from opening practice for the upcoming football season. The team comes in riding a streak of 6 straight postseason appearances. The program currently has 3 alumni suiting up for NFL teams. All 3 were back this weekend for the 2nd annual Big Cat Lineman Camp. It was started last year by alums like Ike Bucker of the Buffalo Bills and Ross Pierce-Baker, who's set for his first season with the Detroit Lions. The trio is rounded out by Pierce-Baker's new Lions teammate Jack Campbell, who technically is a linebacker. Last season's camp featured only high school athletes. This year, a 5th through 8th grade session was added in the morning to make it bigger.
We just had so much fun. We thought we'd double it, make a young kids camp, and just keep it rolling. But great turnout. We're having a lot of fun halfway through, and excited to have the high school kids next.
We had a lot of requests from the parents around the community. You know, my kid would have gone if he was, a younger group, so we figured open it up and just start him young, show what it is to be a big cat, and that it's cool to be a bigger guy and not all these 7-on-7 camps.
Especially this first camp for the little kids, just get them running around and just enjoying football, just letting them know, it's okay if you don't get the hang of it right away, but just stick with it. I feel like that's what we're trying to do out here, is just inspire kids to take the next step and just continue with it. So.
Booker's teammate and former Panther Spencer Brown rounded out the current pros at this weekend's camp, which also featured several former pros and current college linemen as instructors. After a slow start to the season, the Waterloo Bucks have been the hottest team in the Northwoods League in the second half, entering last night's game at the Lacrosse on a 9-game winning streak. The Loggers have been right there with the Bucks in the last 2 weeks. On the road, Waterloo just couldn't get it done. The Bucks fell to Lacrosse 15-5. The Loggers are now tied with the Bucks on top of the second half standings. The second and final game of the series is tonight in Lacrosse. Quick water rescue teams have made more than 200 rescues in Vermont after a historic storm with torrential rains caused catastrophic flooding in the state. Crews as far away as North Carolina were brought in to assist in the search and rescue efforts. Cam Smith reports.
Throughout the last week, rescue crews have been hard at work in Vermont's hardest hit areas. In this video captured in Northfield, a resident escaping rising floodwaters could be seen getting pulled into a rescue boat and taken away from danger. This video, captured by the Vermont Urban Search and Rescue Team, shows crews from New Hampshire wading through ripping floodwaters to get to a woman stranded in her car.
One of the teams from Bedford made an unbelievable rescue of a woman in a car next to a river that, if that team hadn't been there, she would have died for sure.
Michael Cannon is the program manager for Vermont's Urban Search and Rescue Team. He was responsible for coordinating and bringing in teams from around the country to support rescue efforts during peak flooding. He says over the course of the week, 212 rescues were performed.
We're really proud of those numbers. We're proud of the people that we're able to bring in. They were very passionate about doing what they did for the state, whether it was an out-of-state team or an in-state team.
Cannon says during Tropical Storm Irene, the state had roughly a quarter of the total resources on hand than they had during this storm.
Without the folks that were doing the rescues, I am nothing without the folks doing the rescue. We coordinated here, but it was the men and women that were on the scene doing the rescues. Those are the people that we need to be proud of, right?
Cannon says crews from several states are remaining in Vermont throughout the weekend as more wet weather is expected there. Right now, 3 wildfires are burning Riverside County, California, all of them breaking out on Friday. The largest is the Rabbit Fire. It's burned 7,000 acres, forcing evacuations. Right now, there are no reports of injuries. Fire officials say there is no containment on the Rabbit Fire. Firefighters are working on all 3 wildfires in very hot, dry conditions and expect a busy week ahead battling these fires. Canada's wildfires continue to impact us here in eastern Iowa. It's once again a Storm Track 7 alert day today for air quality concerns. Let's take a live look outside this morning from Dubuque, from the National Mississippi River Museum and Aquarium. And you can certainly see that smoke out there. Let's check back in with Storm Track 7 meteorologist AJ Rickman for our full forecast.
Yeah, fortunately we don't have any wildfires burning in the state right now, but we are dealing with smoke from those wildfires that are going on up in Canada, and it's giving us a lot of air quality issues. Right now, looking out over Decorah, you can see where that sun's come up. If it weren't for the air quality, it'd be shaping up to be a pretty nice day. Temperature about 55, calm winds. But if you look towards, so you have the sun coming up on the left side of your screen. If you look here right at the horizon, you can see that there's some orange and some red coloration right there. It was a lot more prominent when the sun first came up this morning, but it's kind of fading away as we get up there as the sun gets up in the sky. But for sunrises and sunsets for today, tonight, into tomorrow morning, especially in the southern areas, you're going to notice there's going to be some really pretty reds and oranges. So that's kind of a silver lining for all of this. You know, we'll have some pretty sunsets, some pretty sunrises, some pretty sunsets. Could make some good photo opportunities. But we are going to be dealing with that reduced air quality. So even if you aren't sensitive ordinarily to air quality, you might be dealing with some scratchy throat, just kind of, you know, tasting it, smelling it a little bit in the air. Could be just kind of unpleasant to be outside for extended periods of time today, so limit your outdoor exposure if you can. You're also going to notice that milky appearance to the sky. It might be clear out, but the sky is going to be kind of a white color, have a white color to it as opposed to that nice blue that you'd like to see on a nice sunny day. So that's just going to be something to keep in mind because we are under a Storm Track 7 yellow alert day. It's for that reduced air quality from that smoke that we've been talking about all morning, and that's going to be in effect through noon tomorrow before a front comes through, clears things out for us, and that's going to affect our entire area. Really, it's affecting the entire Midwest right now, all the way into, you know, over here in Illinois, they're dealing with it too, but here in Iowa, across all of our viewing, most of our viewing area, we're dealing with that just really unhealthy air. If you know, whether you're in the sensitive groups category or not, you're going to feel some effects from it, and off to our northwest where that smoke's coming from, air quality is not much better, so I don't expect our air quality to improve much through the day today. And, you know, temperatures, like I said, if it weren't for the air quality, wouldn't be a terrible day. Temperatures right now are in the 50s, rising through the 50s into the 60s across the area. And the temperatures aren't going to be bad today, but again, it's just that air quality that we're going to be dealing with. So we go through the afternoon hours, that air quality sticks around, the poor air quality sticks around, excuse me, that low-level smoke doesn't really go anywhere, and it lingers through our area through the afternoon until tonight. Now what happens tonight is we're going to have a front that comes in from Minnesota. It's going to push its way across our area through the overnight hours tonight and into the early morning hours of tomorrow. As it does that, it's going to push a lot of that smoke out of our area, and it should bring us much better air quality as we get into Monday afternoon. The other thing that front's going to do is it's going to push some scattered showers and storms through our area today. I think our southern counties are going to have the best shot at getting in on some of that scattered shower and storm action. And some of those storms could be on the strong side. They could have some gusty winds, some hail. So just something to keep an eye on as you go through your day. And then those should clear out for tonight. And should, by midnight, they should be cleared out and give us a good start to our day Monday. Monday is going to be a great day. Comfortable dew points. It's going to be really pleasant out there, improving air quality. We are going to see a quick return to moisture, though, as we get into the middle of next week. But for today, we'll deal with that poor air quality. Those temperatures will be in the upper 70s in our northern counties, low to mid 80s in our southern counties. For tonight, we'll drop into the 50s across the area. We'll have those storms that clear out by midnight. And then for tomorrow, our air quality is going to gradually improve as we go through the day. We'll be in the 70s as we go across our area. And then in your city-by-city forecast, you can see where our rain chances increase through Tuesday. And after Tuesday, we dry out for a while.
For Feldco.
Let's go back to Storm Track 7 meteorologist A.J. Rickman. It's a little smoky out there.
It is. We've got some really bad air quality we're dealing with right now, and it's not really going to get much better as we go through the day today. The northwest wind is going to keep pumping in that smoke, keep things really unpleasant to be if you're outside. Make sure you limit your outdoor exposure. Hopefully we get some relief as we get into Monday.
Awesome. Thank you, AJ, and thank you for joining us this morning. We'll be back with more news in 1 hour at 8.